The uninvited guest's commander, Sarah Chen, floated in the zero-gravity chamber of the research station Horizon, her fingers dancing across holographic displays that showed the impossible. For 3 months, her team had been studying an ancient artifact discovered buried beneath the ice of Europa. The device was older than human civilization, predating even the earliest fossils found on Earth. Now, after weeks of careful decryption, it was finally revealing its secrets. The artifact contained star maps and coordinates that made no sense according to known astronomy. These locations existed in the spaces between stars, in the vast emptiness where nothing should be. But more intriguing were the mathematical proofs embedded in the data, proving that something massive existed at these coordinates, hidden from conventional sensors by technology that bent space itself. Dr. Marcus Webb, the station's lead physicist, pushed through the airlock, his excitement barely contained. "Sarah, we've confirmed it. The quantum signatures match theoretical models for artificial space-time manipulation. Whatever's at these coordinates, it's been deliberately hidden from the rest of the galaxy. The energy requirements alone would need the output of a small star." Sarah turned to face him, her mind racing with possibilities. How long would it take to reach the nearest coordinate with our fastest ship? Marcus consulted his tablet, running quick calculations. The UES Prometheus could make it in 6 weeks using our new antimatter drives. But Sarah, we have no idea what we're walking into. This could be a trap, or worse. 3 weeks later, the Prometheus emerged from its final jump, carrying not just a small crew, but representatives from Earth's united government. Admiral David Park commanded the vessel, a veteran of humanity's expansion to 37 star systems. Beside him stood Ambassador Alina Volkov, Earth's most experienced diplomat, though her experience was limited to negotiating between human colonies. The view that greeted them defied imagination. A structure the size of a small moon hung in the darkness, composed of crystalline material that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Thousands of vessels surrounded it, each design more alien than the last. Some appeared to be made of living tissue, others of pure energy, and many defied any attempt at description. "Multiple contacts on all sensors," reported Lieutenant Commander James Riley from the tactical station. "I'm counting over 3,000 vessels, representing at least 200 different configurations. They're all converging on that central structure." Admiral Park studied the readings carefully. "Any signs of hostility?" "Negative, sir, but we're being scanned by technologies I can't even identify. Some of these scans are passing right through our hull like we're not even here." Alina stepped forward, her diplomatic instincts taking over. "Open all communication channels. If this is what I think it is, we're about to crash the biggest party." In the galaxy, the universal translator struggled with the cacophony of signals that flooded their systems. Languages based on color changes, gravitational pulses, and quantum fluctuations all competed for attention. Then, suddenly, silence fell across all channels. A single voice emerged, speaking in perfect English, despite having never encountered the language before. The translation was flawless, delivered directly into their minds rather than through their equipment. "Unidentified vessel, you have breached the sanctum of convergence. This gathering is restricted to recognized civilizations of the galactic tributary system. Your presence here is impossible and unwelcome. Identify yourselves immediately." Admiral Park took the lead, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "This is Admiral David Park of the United Earth Systems ship Prometheus. We represent humanity and our 37 colonized systems. We discovered the coordinates to this location and have come seeking dialogue with the galactic community. The silence that followed lasted several uncomfortable minutes. When the voice returned, it carried undertones of disbelief and concern. Humanity, species designation 7749. You were marked for observation only, restricted to sector 4471 until natural extinction or controlled uplift in approximately 3,000 cycles. Your presence here violates protocols established before your sun formed. How did you obtain these coordinates? Alina activated her communication panel. We found them in an artifact on one of our moons, left by a civilization that visited our system long ago. We've developed faster-than-light travel, established colonies across multiple star systems, and proven ourselves capable of joining the galactic community. We demand recognition and representation in whatever council governs this galaxy. The response came from multiple sources simultaneously, a chorus of alien minds expressing shock, fear, and anger. The humans broke containment. Impossible, the quantum locks were perfect. They reverse-engineered a predecessor artifact. Alert the tribute collectors immediately. The Apex must be informed. A new presence entered the communication channel, its mental voice carrying an authority that silenced all others. The humans could feel the weight of eons in its words. I am Zelith Prime, current speaker of the Galactic Council. Humanity, you have made a grave error in coming here. You know nothing of the universe you inhabit or the prices that must be paid for the privilege of existence among the stars. Admiral Park exchanged glances with Alina before responding. Then educate us. We're here to learn and to take our rightful place among spacefaring civilizations. We've earned that right through our own achievements. Zelith Prime's response carried what might have been bitter amusement. Earned. You speak of rights and achievement, but you know nothing of the tribute system that maintains order in this galaxy. Every civilization that expands beyond its birth world must pay for that privilege. Resources, technology, population, all must be offered to maintain the balance. Dr. Webb, who had been analyzing the data streams, suddenly went pale. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures moving through subspace toward Earth and our colonies. Whatever they're talking about, I think they've already dispatched ships to collect this tribute. Elena's diplomatic composure cracked slightly. You're telling us that every spacefaring species has to pay protection money just to exist. Who collects this tribute? Who decides the price? The answer came not from Zelith Prime, but from another alien voice, smaller and filled with resignation. The Apex collects. The Apex has always collected. Since before any of our civilizations reached the stars, it has demanded payment for our continued existence. Those who refuse are consumed. Those who cannot pay are harvested. This is the way of things. Admiral Park's jaw tightened. And you all just accept this. Hundreds of civilizations, thousands of ships, and you all bow to this extortion. The communication channels erupted with overlapping responses. You don't understand. The Apex is not a civilization, it's a force of nature. Species that resist don't just die, they're erased from existence. Better to pay and survive than to fight and be forgotten. Alina looked at the assembled alien fleet on their displays, seeing them now not as potential enemies, but as victims of the greatest protection racket in galactic history. How long has this been going on? When did your species first accept this system? Zelith Prime responded with weary acceptance. The tribute system has existed for over 1 million cycles. The oldest records speak of it as an established fact, not a beginning. The apex predates all current civilizations. Some believe it predated the galaxy itself. Sarah Chen, who had remained silent while studying the data streams, suddenly spoke up. "I'm detecting a massive gravitational distortion approaching Earth. Whatever's coming, it's bigger than anything in their fleet. Time to arrival at Earth is approximately 72 hours. Admiral Park made a decision that would change humanity's destiny. All stations, prepare for immediate departure. We're returning to Earth to prepare our defenses." But before they could engage their drives, Zelif Prime's voice filled their minds with urgent warning. "You cannot fight the apex, humans. It has consumed civilizations far greater than yours. Your only choice is submission or annihilation. The tribute it demands from new species is harsh but survivable. Resist, and your entire species will cease." To exist, Elena stood straighter, her voice carrying the defiance that had driven humanity from caves to stars. "We appreciate the warning, but humanity has never accepted chains, no matter how ancient or powerful the one holding them. If this apex wants tribute from Earth, it will have to take it. We don't kneel to tyrants, whether they're human or alien. Asterisk." The alien voices fell silent, but the humans could sense emotions rippling through the gathered civilizations. Fear dominated, but underneath was something else, a spark of something that might have been hope or admiration. One small voice, almost lost in the silence, whispered across the channel. The humans might be the catalyst. After 1 million cycles, perhaps it's time for change. As the Prometheus turned toward Earth, its crew could see alien ships beginning to follow at a distance. They weren't moving to attack or intercept, but to observe. For the first time in eons, someone was going to stand against the apex. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if humanity's defiance would inspire liberation or invite annihilation. When predators meet warriors, the Prometheus dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system to find humanity's combined fleet already mobilizing. In the 3 days since Admiral Park's emergency transmission, every human ship capable of combat had been recalled. The void around Earth buzzed with activity as civilian vessels evacuated non-essential personnel to underground bunkers. While military ships formed defensive formations, General Rebecca Martinez commanded the orbital defense platforms above Earth, her scarred face displaying the calm that came from 30 years of military service. She opened a direct channel to Admiral Park as the Prometheus approached. "David, I've read your report 3 times and I still can't believe it. An alien protection racket that's been running for 1 million years." Park's image appeared on her screen, his expression grim. "Believe it, Rebecca. And according to our long-range sensors, we have less than 12 hours before this apex arrives. Whatever it is, it's moving through space in ways our physics says should be impossible." The assembled human fleet was impressive by Earth's standards. 300 warships, 500 converted cargo vessels armed with improvised weapons, and thousands of single-pilot fighters. Against any conventional enemy, it would have been formidable, but the readings coming from the approaching entities suggested this was anything but conventional. Dr. Webb worked frantically in the Prometheus's science lab, analyzing every piece of data they'd gathered from the Galactic Council. His team of physicists and engineers were trying to understand the technology gap they faced. The readings were staggering. The apex wasn't just using advanced technology. It seemed to bend reality itself to its will. "Captain," Webb called over the intercom, "you need to see this. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from the Council station. The Apex isn't a ship or a fleet. It's something else entirely. The energy readings suggest it might be a form of controlled singularity, a living black hole that somehow maintains consciousness." Alina Volkov had established communication with several alien species who had followed them from the council meeting. These beings, representing various civilizations, watched from the edges of the solar system. They came not to help, but to witness what they believed would be humanity's final hours. One of them, a crystalline being called Vorth, had been surprisingly forthcoming with information. The Apex last faced resistance 800,000 cycles ago. Vorth transmitted directly to Elena's mind. The Zephrony Empire controlled 300 systems and commanded technology that could destroy stars. They lasted 4 rotations of their homeworld before every trace of their existence was erased. Not destroyed, human Elena, erased. We only know of them because of quantum echoes in the cosmic background radiation. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, surrounded by his senior staff. The weight of humanity's survival rested on decisions made in the next few hours. Options, people. I need every idea, no matter how insane it sounds. Lieutenant Commander Riley spoke first. We could attempt to negotiate, offer a partial tribute to buy time. Maybe we can find a weakness while pretending to comply. Sarah Chen shook her head. Based on the alien testimonies, the Apex doesn't negotiate. It states its demands, and species either comply or face extinction. There's no middle ground. Dr. Webb added his analysis. Our weapons are unlikely to affect something that exists partially outside normal spacetime. We'd need to find a way to force it fully into our reality before conventional weapons would work. The debate was interrupted by alarms, screaming across every human ship simultaneously. The Apex had arrived, still millions of kilometers away, but already affecting local space. Stars seemed to dim in its presence, and gravitational waves rippled through the solar system, causing minor earthquakes on Earth and its colonies. Then, humanity got its first look at their would-be conqueror. The Apex defied description. It appeared as a massive distortion in space, sometimes solid, sometimes transparent, constantly shifting between dimensions. Tentacles of dark energy extended from its core, each one larger than Earth's moon. Where it moved, space itself seemed to scream, reality bending and breaking around its form. Eyes, or what might have been sensors, opened across its surface. Thousands of them, each containing the light of dying stars. A voice, if it could be called that, pressed against every human mind simultaneously. It spoke not in words but in concepts, forcing understanding directly into consciousness. Species 7749, designated humanity. You have violated the containment protocols. You have rejected the tribute system. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will now be harvested. Your colonies will be consumed. Your homeworld will be processed. Resistance is meaningless. Admiral Park activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, all stations, all of humanity. This is Admiral David Park. The entity before us claims the right to harvest our species because we dared to reach for the stars. It demands our submission because that's what it's always received. But we are humans. We've faced extinction before. From nature, from disease, from our own mistakes, and we're still here. Today, we face it again. And today, like every time before, we fight. The human fleet responded with a roar of defiance across all channels. Ships that should have fled towards certain death moved into attack formations. The first wave of missiles and energy weapons launched. Toward the apex, thousands of points of light streaking through the void. The aliens watching from the system's edge expected them to pass harmlessly through the entity. But something unexpected happened. Dr. Webb's team had made a desperate modification to their weapons based on the quantum signatures they'd detected. Each warhead carried a small device that generated a localized reality stabilization field. When the weapons detonated, they forced small sections of the apex fully into normal space-time. The explosions that followed actually caused the entity to recoil, its first experience of pain in eons. The apex's response was swift and terrible. Tentacles of dark energy swept through the human fleet, and where they touched, ships simply ceased. Not destroyed, not vaporized, but erased from existence as if they had never been. In seconds, 40 ships and 8,000 lives were gone. But humanity didn't break. For every ship lost, 2 more moved to fill the gap. Fighters conducted suicide runs, detonating their cores against the entity's form. Capital ships rammed into tentacles, using their reality stabilizers to cause maximum damage before being erased. Henadal Martinez coordinated the defense from Earth's orbital command. Pattern Delta 7 concentrate fire on grid reference 447. Webb's team identified a potential weak point where the entity exists fully in our dimension. Every available weapon focused on the designated area, and for the first time, the apex screamed. The sound, transmitted through space itself, shattered windows on Earth and caused mass extinctions of life in nearby star systems. Alina Volkov, still in communication with the alien observers, felt their shock and growing excitement. The humans are actually hurting it, Vorth transmitted. This is impossible. The apex has never shown vulnerability before. Alina responded while watching the battle unfold. That's because no one ever tried hard enough. Every species gave up when faced with the impossible. Humans don't know how to give up. Asterisk. The battle raged for hours. The human fleet was reduced to half its original strength, but they had learned. Each attack was more effective than the last, as they identified patterns in the apex's defenses. Dr. Webb made a crucial discovery analyzing the entity's energy signatures during its attacks. Admiral, it's not invulnerable. It's using massive amounts of energy to maintain its existence across multiple dimensions. If we can force it to maintain full physicality for long enough, it might destruct itself. Admiral Park immediately understood the implications. All ships, new strategy. We need to surround it with reality stabilization fields, force it fully into our dimension. Engineering teams across the fleet worked frantically to reconfigure their remaining reality stabilizers into a net. It was desperate, probably suicidal. But it was a chance. The apex, perhaps sensing the threat, intensified its attacks. More ships vanished, entire sections of Earth's orbital defenses erased. But humans continued their work, pilots flying damaged ships directly into the entity to deploy their stabilizers before being consumed. Each sacrifice brought them closer to their goal. Then, unexpectedly, help arrived. The alien ships that had been observing began moving toward the battle. Vorth's voice reached Elena's mind. The humans have shown it's possible to resist. After 1,000,000 cycles of submission, you've given us hope. We will help you forge the cage. Dozens of alien vessels, each using their own unique technologies, added their efforts to humanity's desperate plan. Gravitational manipulators, quantum locks, dimensional anchors, technologies humanity didn't understand but could see working. The apex writhed and thrashed as the combined fleet slowly forced it into a single dimension. Its screams grew louder, reality itself protesting against the violation of natural laws. But the cage held. Slowly, painfully, at tremendous cost. The entity was forced fully into normal space-time. What appeared was both terrible and pitiful. The apex, stripped of its multi-dimensional nature, was revealed as a massive, ancient creature. It was the last of its kind, a being from the universe's previous iteration that had survived the Big Bang by existing partially outside reality. For billions of years, it had fed on civilizations to maintain its existence, never growing, never evolving, just surviving. Admiral Park gave the final order. All remaining ships, concentrate everything we have on the target. Fire everything. The combined firepower of humanity's remaining fleet, augmented by alien weapons, struck the now vulnerable apex simultaneously. The explosion that followed was visible from Earth's surface, turning night into day for a brief moment. When the light faded, the apex was gone. Not erased from existence, as it had done to so many, but destroyed, leaving behind debris that would puzzle scientists for generations. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, across every communication channel, from every alien ship, came sounds of celebration. Vorth's voice, filled with an emotion that might have been joy, reached Elena's mind. The apex is dead. After 1,000,000 cycles, we are free. And we owe that freedom to humanity's refusal to accept the impossible. In the weeks that followed, as humanity rebuilt and counted their losses, representatives from hundreds of civilizations arrived at Earth, not to demand tribute or impose restrictions, but to thank the species that had broken their chains. The Galactic Council was reformed, this time as a body of equals rather than subjects living in fear. Humanity had lost nearly half its fleet and 60,000 lives, but they had gained something invaluable, respect and gratitude from civilizations. Across the galaxy, the species that had been designated for containment and eventual extinction had instead become the liberators of the galaxy. Where others had seen an impossible enemy, humans had seen a problem to be solved. Where others had accepted submission, humans had chosen defiance. As Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the damaged but victorious Prometheus, looking out at the alien vessels now surrounding Earth in peaceful formation, Alina Volkov joined him. Was it worth it? She asked quietly, thinking of all they'd lost. Park considered the question, watching as human and alien ships worked together to collect debris and rescue survivors. We showed the galaxy that tyrants can fall, no matter how ancient or powerful. We proved that freedom is worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. Yes, Alina, it was worth it. The story of humanity's defiance spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring countless species to stand against their own oppressors. The humans, who had been kept in ignorance and isolation, had become the catalyst for the greatest revolution in galactic history. They had crashed the Galactic Council as uninvited guests and left as heroes. The universe would never be the same.